Hey there, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to a new episode of HMF Live. My name is Tanya Moravec, and I am the founder and CEO of Hustle to Muscle Fitness, and I am the host of the show. So thanks so much for being here, whether you are watching this live, watching here, sitting here with me, or you watch the recording later. Either way, I appreciate you taking the time to check this out. So as I mentioned earlier today, and even just a half an hour ago, today's topic is one that is near and dear to my heart and something I have experienced personally, which is job burnout. And the reason that this is appropriate for a health and fitness type of show is because there is an impact to our health, a negative impact when it comes to job burnout. And actually that trickles over into the economy. And I will share more about that here in a minute. But so talking job burnout, prevention, recovery, and again, the impact it has on your health. And so, and it also goes towards trying to find a balance. Now, many of you who've been here for a while, you've probably heard me talk about my opinion on balance. There is never going to be, like, when it comes to like work and home or work and family balance, there's never going to be like this 50-50 thing. That's not, in my opinion, that's not how balance works. Balance is an ebb and flow. There are times where in my experience, there are times where my full-time job as an administrator takes more of my time, like last month when I was traveling for work. There are times where even my business will take more of my focus, especially if I'm traveling for this business or I'm working with customer or I'm planning, big project or something, a launch coming. Then there are times where my family takes the priority. Now, that's not to say that they don't get any of my time when the other two are taking my time. It might just mean they get a little less time. I might not be home, so I don't get to spend as much time with Gary or with my dogs or friends or whatever. But then there are times where I take time off of work, or I even step away from, the stuff I have going on with Hustle to Muscle Fitness, and I just hang out with them, or we go on date night or whatever. That's what balance is to me. You can figure what the definition for you, but job burnout is really big when it comes to finding whatever your balance is. So that's what we're talking here tonight, because I have personally gone through that. I would say, especially in my early days of my career with Gear Up, which is the program I work for. When I first got into the program, I would work late. I would stay at the school and work late till sometimes 6, 7 o'clock at night. And then I would come home and I'd bring my work home and I'd still keep going basically until bedtime. And so, I still am, but I was really passionate about my new job and about Gear Up and the impact and stuff. And so it was easy for me to just dive in. I also tend to have a workaholic type of personality. So it's super easy for me to just plug into work, whether it's that work or whether it's my business. So I have to be very cognizant and aware of that and really work on that. But however, I've had jobs in the past where I didn't like them, working retail. And so burnout was super easy because I was not passionate at all about it. But even when I was doing Gear Up, there was a point where I was working Gear Up. I was running the program. I was also in grad school full time. I also had an internship and was going through some health issues with Gary. You guys have heard our story before. And if you're new, in a nutshell, Gary had some major surgeries around the same time that I was doing all those other things. And so the burnout was for real. And grad school will burn you out anyway. But this is why I want to talk about it. We spend so much time in our lives working. Like, we spend a good chunk, actually more than we'd probably spend sleeping, more than we're probably here at home, more than we probably spend with our friends or family. We spend a very good part of our waking, and working ages, working lives at work, like, especially if you work outside of the home. Now, if you work at home, then that's a little different. You're probably in a little bit more control of your time, but if not, then you have to be at work when they tell you to be there because they're paying it. They're paying you and paying your bills. So, so job burnout is not only costly to us as individuals, but it's also very costly to the economy. And I'm speaking about the U.S. here. These are some of the things that happen. So we got financial burnout or financial burden, absenteeism. So employees just not showing up for work or taking lots of time off or calling in sick. Turnover. So just lots of employees just changing jobs. I mean, you've seen some jobs, I've been in some jobs where it's like a revolving door. So reduced productivity, which can cost a lot because there's just times where things aren't getting done. Medical expenses, if somebody's out on medical leave, and that can happen from burnout and, you know, the implications of your health. Legal and insurance expenses, so depending on the nature of somebody being gone. The total cost to U.S. businesses. Now, this is from the American Institute of Stress. Now, here's the thing. First of all, when I was doing some research for this, we are so stressed in the U.S. that we actually have an American Institute of Stress. Like, that is what they do. That's crazy. Like, as a country, we really need to do a better job of figuring out ways to manage and cope with stress. But anyway, I digress. So total cost to U.S. businesses, over $300 billion a year due to job burnout. Insane, right? So burnout can happen for a variety of reasons. First of all, you might be overworked, maybe working too many hours or too many days in a row. Maybe you've got too many jobs. You just don't have any other time. No rest days. So again, it's kind of the same thing. You just either you only work, but have maybe a 1 day off a week, or maybe you work like a stretch of 10, 14 days. Or again, you're going like one job ends and you get to another job and it just keeps going over and over and over. This one's probably the most common though. A mismatch in job versus personality or passions. This is the most common. I mean, there's a misalignment between things that you as a person enjoy and what you're passionate about versus the job that you might be doing or the situation that you're in. Continuous burnout, if you don't do things to resolve these issues, can lead to anxiety, depression, even heart disease, insomnia, poor mental health overall. So there's a lot of implications, and that's where some of those medical costs come in, or insurance costs and things like that. So before I get into how to combat, prevent, or whatever, first of all, I want to give you a few signs of burnout. Now, this is probably not going to be anything that's earth-shattering, but it's really good for you to sort of do a self-inventory and figure out if any of these things are actually going on with you right now. So you might feel like every day is a bad day because you got to go work. You're just not looking forward to it. You might be exhausted. You might actually be suffering from chronic exhaustion. You just feel like you can't ever either get rested, or you just never feel like you have the energy that you should have. You lack joy or interest, and you might even be suffering from depression, especially at the thought of going back to work, maybe at the same place or whatever. Feeling overwhelmed, like you just feel like you can't get a handle on things at work, you can't get a handle on things at home. You might even be feeling that you're overwhelmed with finances. Just you feel like you can't get enough clarity in your head. So that's another burnout, like your brain is just taxed. This is where it gets really bad. You might be starting to practice, I guess, what are called escapist behaviors, which is like excessive drinking. You're finding ways to escape, you know, it might be drug abuse. It might be, there's all kinds of things. Basically, any of those negative sort of behaviors, you might be, whatever it is that you use to escape things. A lot of times that tends to be drugs and alcohol. So, okay, so let's talk about, you know, first how to combat this and prevent. So the first thing that you can start doing is to shift your perspective. And I know that this is easier said than done for sure. But you got to start thinking about, like, if you have a job, one, feeling fortunate for that, and thinking about not that you have to go to work or that you have to do this, but that you get to do this. You get to go to work. You get to have a job that pays you, because not everybody has an easy time finding a job. That you get to provide for your family and that you feel like you are taking care of them. So you got to kind of reframe it for yourself. That you're getting additional skill development and experience, which can ultimately help you in finding a new job if that's what you want to do, or finding maybe a promotion, getting a new job within the company you're at, whatever. And then also thinking about, depending on your job, if it's something that's helping others, if you're making a difference and having an impact that helps other people in whatever way that is. So for me, with education, it would be about how I'm helping students, helping them, you know, maybe go off to college, or helping them expand their horizons or things like that. Or with coaching, how I get to help people take back control over their health, or maybe it's helping them through coaching create a life that they want to lead, or better financial situation, or whatever. So really reframe your job when you feel like you're burning out on it, and think about things that you get to do, not that you have to do. Okay, but here are some ways to help prevent if you don't find that you're in that space yet, which is good. First of all, work with the purpose. So figure out, whatever your job is, figure out a way to put more meaning behind it, put more purpose. Now, for some, it might be easy. If you're a nurse, like, for instance, that's a great way to say, well, my purpose is to help people get better, or to help save lives, or whatever. But maybe if your job is, it's not as overt as that, figure out a way to infuse your work with more purpose. And then analyze your job. Are there things, tasks in your job that you can either eliminate or delegate because they aren't necessary to you needing to get them done? You may or may not have that flexibility or that option in your work. But if you can, get rid of those unnecessary tasks. And this is not going to be a surprise that I'm going to suggest this: exercise. Actually working out, becoming physically active. That is such a great way to manage and cope with stress and relieve anxiety and depression and all sorts of things, just because of the the biochemical reaction that happens in your body, the release of dopamines and endorphins and all those things that happen when you exercise. Those are very good for your mental health, in addition to, of course, to your physical health. Learning to manage stress. So in addition to exercise, maybe it's meditation, maybe it's yoga, maybe it's, maybe it's even taking a nap. I don't know, but figuring out ways to manage that stress in a healthy way, not an escapist way where you start, using substances or whatever. And then you might just need some sleep or some rest, and I'm going to talk about some things here that you can do that may not be easy, but it is worth it. So hang with me. And if you have comments or questions or even other tips that you can recommend, please put them in the comments, because I always love to hear from the HMF community. And you guys are out there working hard, have families, have jobs just like I do, and you may have different ways to come about it. Especially those of you who have parents. You guys know I don't have, kids. You guys know that I don't have kids. I just have, my fur babies, and they don't cause nearly as much stress as having human children can, which is one of the reasons why I have fur babies and not human children. But still, I would love to hear from you guys. Okay, so recovery. What can you do? So first of all, in order to move past job burnout, if you find yourself in burnout, first of all, you're going to have to take action. It doesn't just magically go away. You actually will have to take steps to remedy and alleviate the situation. So keep that in mind. Sorry, this isn't just going to go poof. So first of all, identify why you're burned out. What is the source of your resentment? Because that good indication that means that whatever that is, that means there's something missing. So really do an evaluation of your current job and see if you can pinpoint where that resentment is coming from. Focus on your basics. So again, getting back to basics is like exercise, eating healthy foods. Your body, your physical body just may need more attention. And that could be through physical activity. That could be through better food. That could be through just sleep and rest, just taking some downtime. Okay. Let's see where we are. Oh, take a real vacation or even a leave of absence if you have to. Now, I know I talked about absenteeism, but in that case, we're talking about playing hooky. In this case, we're talking about if you have the luxury of earning vacation days or having a leave of absence, use it. That's what it's there for. Take a real vacation, not one where, now I know staycations can be really nice, and the only reason I say but is because sometimes staycations are great. Just stay home and do nothing. But if you're the type of person who, if you're home, you're not going to do nothing, you're going to just you're going to find ways to work or whatever and not actually relax, then maybe you need a real vacation away from home. Now, if you don't have the luxury of vacation days or leave of absence, I understand it's hard to do that. But I still would recommend you taking an extra day off, maybe take a Friday off or a Monday so you extend your weekend, or depending on the nature of your job. But even though that might be an unpaid day, I can guarantee you that the cost of that unpaid day is still going to be less than if you end up with medical expenses because you're so burnt out from work and you're suffering from exhaustion, or you're not taking care of yourself, that you land yourself in the ER, the hospital. I can guarantee you that that's more expensive than taking that one day off for rest here and there. So let's see here. Reevaluate your personal goals. Is what you're doing, and I mentioned this earlier, is what you're doing in alignment with your values? You know, it's kind of a gut check. You know, is the job that you're doing really what you want to be doing? If you have this mission to help others, you know, and I don't know, like, I mean, I'm not trying to dog out any job, of course, but if your mission is to help others, maybe through like the medical field, and you want to be a nurse or a doctor or whatever, or dentist, or I don't know, and you are in fast food, like, there's not really an alignment there, you know? So do an inventory, both of your goals and the job that you have, and see if that is lining up. And then also remember that it's okay to say no. You don't have to take on every project in the world. And even if the money is nice, you don't have to take all the overtime. And in fact, if you leave some for others, they'd probably appreciate that too. But your family would appreciate having you more than they probably would appreciate having your extra pay. So it's okay to say no. Practice positive thinking. Now, I know this sounds more like kumbaya than maybe it is, but really this is about, again, you know, doing some affirmations and just talking to yourself in a positive way and helping you to change your mindset about your job, what you get to do versus what you have to do. And then you might have to make some hard decisions and make the necessary changes, like maybe changing jobs, changing locations, doing what's best for you and what's best for your family. A burnt out version of yourself, no matter how hard you're working or how much money you're bringing home, doesn't do any good to your family. The paycheck, it's nice to pay bills and all that kind of stuff. Like, believe me, I'm all about security. But at the same time, like, what's the point of working so hard for this life if you're not even enjoying it? You know, and you're not enjoying the ones that you're working so hard for. You're not enjoying time with your loved ones. So make necessary changes, whether that's cutting back, maybe cutting back hours, changing the actual job, changing positions, maybe it's even changing location. I don't know, but you have to decide. And that's a conversation that you have internally and you also have with your family. And once you've decided, you take the next steps. You know, and I'm not saying abandon your job, like have another job in place before you jump ship because you don't want to put your family into that financial peril, but, you know, have a plan and then take action. So a couple of resources where I've gotten some of this information. Model Health Show, first of all, it's a great podcast. I believe he also does videos on his YouTube channel, maybe Facebook. And then also you can check out the website. I think it's modelhealth.com. But if you Google the Model Health Show, it'll pop up. Sean Stevenson is the host of that. And then also I got some of these tips from mindtools.com. So I hope that this is helpful to you. Like I said, I have experienced burnout, you know, in grad school. And it's part of my weight loss journey. You know, when I hit that burnout, like my stress was to the max. And that's when my blood pressure was like 190 over 110 or something. I don't even remember. But, and that was all burnout and stress. And that's when I decided, for me, the way out was through exercise and better eating. And that helped me get everything back under control. And over the years, I've had to learn how to better balance my time. So I'm not just always working. So I hope this is helpful to you. Some tips that you can walk away with, maybe can actually implement, maybe just, if nothing else, to do a self-inventory and make sure things are in check. And then also, if you need to prevent, but then maybe even recover, because burnout happens to the best of us. You know, we all want to work hard. We all want to provide for our families. But again, we shouldn't do that at the risk of our own health, because that actually costs us and our family even more. So I hope this was helpful. Again, I appreciate you taking the time to watch. If you've got questions, comments, tips, other things that maybe I missed, please put them in the comments. And if you know somebody who maybe needs to hear this message or could benefit from some of these tips, share the video, tag them in the comments, whatever you got to do. But let's help more people actually be able to enjoy their lives and hopefully enjoy their work. So have a great night. Enjoy the rest of your week. I'll see you again next week for HMF Live. And if nothing else, I'll see you back on this page tomorrow.